How did Shericka Jackson run the second fastest 200 meters all time? Welcome back to the channel, people. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, thank you for making it Peter Lloyd World. Now go ahead, please hit that subscribe button so we can continue to grow. When you do that, go ahead and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video drops. We drop a video at least once a day here on Peter Lloyd World. Also, if you enjoy the content, please hit that like button. And finally, leave your comments after this sports analysis where we take a look at and we break down the races. So, when you're ready, yep, good to go. Well, Shericka Jackson is now the second fastest woman all time over the women's 200 meters, running an astounding 21.45 in the finals of the women's 200 meters in Eugene, Oregon. She shocked the world and put the world on notice that she was and is, as of that race, the fastest woman alive over the 200 meters. This astounding run astonished many, but not all. It was evident, looking at her progress throughout the 2022 season, that she was getting closer and closer to a sub 21.50 time. So how did she do this? In this video, we will break down phase by phase throughout this race how she was able to run this phenomenal 21.45, and we will indicate to you, us here at Peter Lloyd World, as to whether or not we think she can come close to Flojo's remarkable 21.34 34-year-old world record. Now, what makes this even more remarkable is that the wind reading was plus 0.6 on the day that she ran this 21.45. Now, plus 0.6 means there was no wind. It was dead still. And we're going to discuss a little later on why wind reading would have been really key in terms of the phenomenal run that she did. So we are going to take a look at section by section of this race to explain to you how we here at Peter Lloyd World believe she was able to execute this remarkable time, and whether or not, given the wind reading, she has any hope of challenging the 34-year-old record left by the great Florence Griffith Joyner of the United States over the 200 meters. That is 21.34. So let's start. And that's where we're going to start from the start. The key issue in this race is how she gets out of the blocks. This is the first important thing. Now, in the past, she had complained about her start. We all know that there was an issue in terms of Shericka Jackson getting out of the blocks. Earlier in the year, we saw her working on her 60-meter indoor and outdoor and improved her PB over the 60 meters to, I believe, 7.04 or 05, which is phenomenally fast. In this race, you will see that she gets out of those blocks really quickly. Within the first 5 to 6 meters, she's up on the entire field, with the exception, of course, of Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, who herself has a rocket start. So her start is not as fast as Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce's, but it is good enough to get her in front of the bulk of the field within the first 5 to 10 meters of this 200 meters. Watch. Now Jackson is running out of lane number 4. To her immediate left is Dina Asher-Smith in lane number 3, and in lane number 6 is Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. Now, within the first 10 meters, she's already up on Tamara Clark, who's running to her right in lane number 5. It is only Asher-Smith and Fraser-Pryce who have any edge over her, and I think Asher-Smith and her are equal at the first 10 to 15 meters. It is only Fraser-Pryce, I think, based on the stagger, who is actually ahead of her in the first 20 to 30 meters of this 200 meters. Number two is her transition through that curve. We have already spoken about the fact that her curve run at this point, her transition through the curve in the 200 meters, is near textbook perfect in terms of her placement. She is well placed, and it is in the curve that she actually pulls, at the end of that curve, that she pulls alongside and starts to move ahead of Shelley and Fraser Price. So her transition through this curve was really imperative in terms of the time. So transitioning out of her start into her drive phase, which is going to occur through that transition into the first, I'd say, 50 of the last 100 meters, she was textbook perfect. Now, it's after this drive phase and a transition through that 200-meter curve into the last 60, I'd say, meters of this 200 meters, the other thing kicks in, which is her 400 meter strength and endurance. Now, I've explained to you in the past that it is not that the athlete who wins actually extends their lead in a sprint. That's almost physiologically impossible. In fact, it is physiologically impossible. What it is the athlete who fades the slowest is the athlete who tends to win. In this instance, her raw strength and speed, based on her years of running the 400 meters, gives her a distinct edge over Shelley and Fraser Price. So once she moves alongside Shelley and Fraser Price, transitioning out of that curve into the last 80 meters and starts to move ahead, what is actually happening is that the rest of the field is slowing down faster than she is. And that's why she goes through the line of clear 4 to 5 meters ahead of Shelley and Fraser Price, the 100-meter champion, which is a tremendous accomplishment. This is her strength endurance based on her 400-meter training. Now, the fourth factor why she was able to run this remarkable 21.45 is her technique. Her running style is near flawless throughout the entire race. Her start, her drive phase, her transition through the 200-meter curve. Look at her arms up and down, almost at her face, right through the line. She maintains form. If you look at Dina Asher Smith behind her, and even Fraser Price, they begin they lose form in the last 10 meters of this race. Shericka Jackson maintains her form throughout the entire race. And it is truly impressive to see her run like this in the last 60 meters, running at 21.45. At this time, most athletes would be either overextending their stride. They would not run right through the line as she did, but her form is incredible. She maintains her form throughout the entire race. This is textbook perfection. I need you to take note that she's not rocking from side to side. She's not doing anything to stop the wind flow around her. You know, it's like a perfect car. She's steady, head up, no rocking, and that's also important in terms of her technique. Now, the fifth factor, it's going to be a little longer than I expected in terms of the video, is this. It's her speed. Now with a PB of 10.71 over 100 meters, when she ran this 21.45, her PB was 9.73 over the 100 meters. That difference, that raw speed that she has, is a huge factor in terms of her being able to execute this kind of 21.45. So outside of strength endurance, stamina, perfect technique, great drive phase, excellent start, amazing transition through the curve. There's just the sheer fact that she's the sixth fastest woman all time in the 100 meters. She is fast, people. She is extremely fast, and that's a really important factor in being able to run this time. Correction, her time was 10.73 and not 9.73. Now, the second part of this question is whether or not she could ever tackle that remarkable 21.34 time set by Flojo 34 years ago, a seemingly impossible task. Now, this, of course, is my 2 cents. The fact is, she's only 0.11, I believe, away from Flojo's time. Now, it might not seem far, but 0.11 is actually really, really far. But let's factor in a few things. I said earlier in the video that there was no wind behind her. It was plus 0.6. That's pretty much still. If she had had even a plus 1.4, 1.5, she would have challenged that world record. She really would have. She probably wouldn't have broken it, but she would have come much closer. The second factor is she, at her best at that point in the 100-meter finals in Eugene, had ran a time of 10.73 to get her silver medal. Her PB is now 10.71 and her time is increasing. So I believe given another 4 to 5 months, she should be able to run a sub 10.7. Once she hits a sub 10.7 realm, and if she has a plus 1.6 wind factor pushing her behind with the right conditions, and she's able to execute the same kind of race, she can actually challenge that world record. Breaking it, I'm not sure, but she can get to I think somewhere around a 12.40. A 21.40. Please, people, forgive me. So I think if she gets fast over the 100, which she's clearly doing, if she has enough wind factor behind her, I think we're looking at someone who could possibly challenge this world record, which is seemingly unchallengeable. So let's look back. Start, very, very good. Drive phase, remarkable. Transition through the curve, near perfection. Raw strength and speed coming from her 400 meter years of experience, important. So it maintains, she slows down slower than anyone else in that 200 meter race. Just sheer fast, and her technique is near textbook perfect. I do think she could challenge the world record given the right conditions. If she's able to run a 10.6768 in 100 meters and execute the race that she did in Eugene, Oregon in the finals when she ran at 21.45 with a win factor behind her of, let us say, plus 1.7, 1.6, she can not only challenge the world record but should break it. But this, of course, is just my 2 cents. I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you think I'm blowing smoke? I hope I was able to explain our concept as how she was able to run this remarkable 21.45. Now, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Remember, you are royals, kings, and queens. Bless up!